The Rock's empire is starting to crack, and for the first time in years, people are finally questioning the man behind the image. For decades, Dwayne Johnson built himself into the perfect superstar, the hardest worker in the room, the humble giant, the unstoppable success story. But now, that image is slowly falling apart, piece by piece. It all started when people began noticing something different about him. During appearances like the Venice Film Festival, fans immediately pointed out that his physique looked noticeably smaller and less superhero-like than before. And suddenly, the internet started asking questions that nobody used to dare ask. Was The Rock ever really natural? Even huge voices like Joe Rogan openly joked about steroid use, saying there was no chance in hell someone could maintain that kind of body naturally in their 50s. And the more people looked into it, the more cracks they started finding in the image he spent years building. Because his entire brand wasn't just muscles, it was discipline, sacrifice, waking up at 4 a.m., grinding non-stop, making people believe success came purely from hard work and mental toughness. That's what made him different. But once people started doubting the foundation, everything else started getting questioned too. And honestly, the warning signs may have always been there. Back in 2016, during the filming of The Fate of the Furious, Johnson shocked fans with a furious Instagram rant calling some of his male co-stars candy asses. Most people immediately connected it to Vin Diesel, and suddenly the wholesome, untouchable Rock persona didn't feel so perfect anymore. Stories later came out saying the two stars hated each other so much they reportedly avoided being on set together entirely. Around the same time, his public issues with Tyrese Gibson added even more tension behind the scenes. That was the first major crack. Before that, criticizing The Rock almost felt impossible. He wasn't just another actor. He was one of the most loved celebrities on earth. A former WWE legend who somehow became Hollywood's golden boy without losing his real guy image. Funny, motivational, always smiling, always grateful. But by 2019, fans started noticing how carefully controlled everything around him really was. Reports about his so-called no-lose clause began spreading online claims that his characters couldn't appear weak on screen. And while other action stars had similar agreements, it felt different with him because his entire image was built around humility. The contradiction started becoming impossible to ignore. Then came the smaller moments that made people look at him differently. Clips of him getting weirdly competitive over harmless games like rock, paper, scissors started going viral. Tiny moments, but enough to make fans wonder if the personality they loved was partly an act. And then things got even stranger. In 2023, he posted a video claiming he was trying In-N-Out Burger for the first time. The internet immediately dug up older videos where he had literally said the exact same thing years earlier. He laughed it off, said he forgot. But online, people weren't buying it anymore. One viral comment called him a walking billboard. And honestly, that idea spread fast, because suddenly every post, every interview, every motivational speech started feeling overly polished, almost corporate. At the same time, the steroid conversations got louder than ever. Johnson continued insisting he was natural aside from experimenting once when he was younger. But the issue wasn't just whether he used steroids or not. The real problem was what his image represented. If the body wasn't fully natural, then maybe the entire hard work alone narrative wasn't fully real either. And then came the Maui backlash. During the devastating Hawaii fires, Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched a relief fund and donated millions themselves. On paper, it sounded generous, but many people online criticized them for also asking everyday people to donate while being unbelievably wealthy themselves. The backlash exploded. Later, Johnson admitted the situation could have been handled better, but by then, the damage was already done. At this point, the public perception around him had completely shifted. Instead of feeling authentic, every appearance started feeling rehearsed. Every interview sounded media-trained. Every motivational speech felt like branding. And nowhere was that more obvious than with Black Adam. At first, the project looked like Johnson's dream role, but behind the scenes, reports claimed he wasn't just starring in the movie, he was trying to reshape the entire DC universe around himself. Originally, Black Adam was supposed to naturally connect with Shazam and its star Zachary Levi, but instead, Johnson reportedly pushed hard for one specific vision: Black Adam vs. Superman. He even helped bring back Henry Cavill for a surprise Superman cameo that shocked fans worldwide. But comic fans immediately noticed something strange. Instead of building the classic Black Adam vs. Shazam rivalry, the entire focus became turning Black Adam into Superman's equal. And people started accusing Johnson of prioritizing his own image over the actual story. That's when the criticism really exploded. because it no longer felt like passion. It felt like control, and then the movie failed. Despite years of hype, Black Adam underperformed badly at the box office. Soon after, DC leadership changed completely, and the entire vision Johnson reportedly wanted collapsed overnight. The fallout exposed something people rarely see in Hollywood: how much power, ego, and branding influence major movies behind the scenes. And unfortunately for Johnson, the timing couldn't have been worse, because right after that, another controversy hit him hard. When he returned to WWE, fans expected a legendary comeback moment. Instead, many believed he hijacked Cody Rhodes' long-awaited storyline with Roman Reigns. The backlash was immediate. Fans were furious. One major WWE video involving the situation became massively disliked, and for one of the first times ever, Johnson's social media engagement actually dropped. Eventually, he backed away and let Cody regain the spotlight. Fans respected the decision, but the damage was already visible. People started saying something that would have sounded insane years earlier: maybe the Rock character had completely consumed Dwayne Johnson himself. And then came the disaster that made everything even worse. Red 1. The movie was supposed to be a huge family blockbuster comeback. Instead, it reportedly became a production nightmare. Insiders claim Johnson frequently arrived late to set, sometimes by several hours, causing massive delays and reportedly increasing production costs dramatically. But the story that truly exploded online was the bizarre allegation that he sometimes peed in bottles on set instead of going to the bathroom. At first, his team denied the rumors, but then Johnson casually admitted in an interview that he does pee in bottles during workouts because he doesn't have time for bathroom breaks. That moment instantly went viral, and instead of ending the controversy, it made everything feel even more believable. Suddenly, more reports surfaced from older productions like Rampage claiming his lateness and behavior had become normalized behind the scenes. That's the thing about celebrity power in Hollywood. Once someone becomes big enough, entire productions start revolving around them. Staff members stop questioning things, people quietly adjust, and eventually the celebrity ends up trapped inside a bubble where normal behavior slowly disappears. We've seen it happen before. Will Smith damaged his reputation in a single moment. Ellen DeGeneres faced backlash after years of promoting a be-kind image. And now, many people believe Johnson is entering that same phase where the public persona no longer matches the reality underneath. But here's the important part: The Rock isn't suddenly some evil villain. That's what makes this whole situation interesting. This feels less like a downfall, and more like someone slowly becoming trapped inside the brand they created. For years, Johnson built an image so perfect that eventually people started expecting perfection from him at all times. The motivational speeches, the endless positivity, the unstoppable grindset mindset, the larger-than-life superhero body, and maybe maintaining that image for decades eventually became impossible. Now he's entering one of the most important phases of his career. Projects like Moana and especially The Smashing Machine could completely redefine how people see him. Early reactions to The Smashing Machine are already saying it's the rawest, most human performance he's ever given. No perfect smile, no polished motivational energy, no invincible superhero aura, just a flawed, vulnerable character. And honestly, that might be exactly what he needs right now, because the only way Dwayne Johnson wins people back might be by finally letting The Rock disappear. No more perfectly controlled image, no more unstoppable brand, no more pretending to be untouchable, just something real, because once the image cracks, people never see you the same way again. And the biggest question now is simple: can Dwayne Johnson rebuild trust as a real person, or has The Rock become too big to escape? And maybe that's the darkest part of all this, because if you really think about it, The Rock didn't become famous by accident. He became famous because he understood exactly what people wanted to believe in: a guy who never quits, never complains, never slows down, always smiling, always winning. In a world where most celebrities constantly fall apart publicly, Dwayne Johnson looked different. He looked bulletproof. That's why millions of people admired him, not just as an actor, but almost like a symbol, a walking example of discipline and success. But the problem with building yourself into a symbol is that eventually you stop being treated like a human being, and maybe somewhere along the way, he stopped acting like one too. Because when your entire identity depends on always looking strong, weakness becomes dangerous. You can't lose, you can't fail, you can't age, you can't look smaller, you can't admit the truth. That pressure slowly changes people, and honestly, you can almost see it happening in real time. Look at his interviews from years ago compared to now. Back then, he felt loose, funny, natural, like a guy genuinely enjoying the moment. Now, every answer feels calculated, every laugh feels rehearsed, every sentence sounds like it went through a PR meeting first. It's like he became trapped inside his own character, and Hollywood absolutely rewards that, until it suddenly doesn't. Because audiences today are way different than they were 10 years ago. People are tired of fake perfection. They don't want superheroes pretending to be flawless anymore. They want honesty, vulnerability, authenticity. That's why so many celebrities are struggling right now. The internet notices everything, every contradiction, every fake story, every forced moment. And once people start questioning your authenticity, they begin reanalyzing your entire career from a completely different angle. That's exactly what's happening to The Rock. Now people aren't just seeing the motivational speeches, they're seeing the business deals behind them. They aren't just seeing the gym videos, they're questioning what's real and what's manufactured. They aren't just seeing confidence anymore, they're seeing control. And once that switch happens in the public's mind, it's incredibly hard to reverse. But weirdly enough, this could also become the most important moment of his entire career, because for the first time ever, people might actually be interested in the real Dwayne Johnson instead of the polished rock persona. Not the superhero, not the motivational machine, not the billionaire brand, that actual human being underneath all of it. And maybe that's why the smashing machine feels so important, because the story itself mirrors what's happening to him in real life. A fighter destroying himself under pressure, a man trapped by expectations, someone trying to hold on to an identity that's slowly breaking apart. That role doesn't require The Rock, it requires honesty. And if he truly commits to that, this whole downfall narrative could completely flip around. Because audiences forgive flaws surprisingly fast when someone finally feels real. But if he keeps trying to protect the perfect image, if every interview keeps sounding scripted, if every controversy keeps getting managed instead of addressed honestly, then the backlash probably gets worse from here. Because the internet can forgive mistakes. What it usually doesn't forgive is feeling manipulated. And right now, that's exactly how a lot of people feel. Like they spent years buying into an image that may have been far more artificial than they realized. The crazy part is, maybe Dwayne Johnson himself believed in that image too. Maybe after decades of playing The Rock, he forgot where the character ended and the real person began. And honestly, that happens to a lot of celebrities. The public creates a version of you, your team protects that version, your business depends on that version, and eventually your entire life becomes about feeding that version nonstop. Until one day, the cracks start showing. And once people notice those cracks, they can't unsee them. That's where The Rock is right now. Not fully cancelled, not destroyed, still massively successful, but no longer untouchable. For the first time in years, people are looking at him differently. Not as a superhero, but as another powerful celebrity trying to protect a carefully manufactured image. And whether his career recovers or keeps sliding probably depends on one thing only: is Dwayne Johnson finally willing to stop being The Rock?